Top 5 most beautiful exes of Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt's legacy is far greater than the roles he played. He began as Hollywood's golden boy, admired for his beauty, but he evolved into one of the most versatile and enduring actors of his generation. Through films that shaped pop culture, Fight Club, Troy, Inglourious Basterds, and through the award-winning productions of Plan B, he helped redefine what it means to be both a movie star and a storyteller. Beyond the screen, his humanitarian work and personal journey towards sobriety revealed a man willing to grow, to stumble, and to rise again. To fans, Pitt is not simply a star, but a symbol of resilience, proof that even amid scandal, heartbreak, and public judgment, redemption is possible. His story is not just about fame. It is about transformation, about turning flaws into fuel for greatness. Brad Pitt's journey is living proof that true icons are not born. They are forged in fire. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories on stars and scandals. In the aftermath of scandal, Brad Pitt faced a choice: retreat into obscurity or confront his demons head-on. He chose the latter. Admitting publicly to his struggles with alcohol, Pitt entered therapy and embraced sobriety. It was a humbling revelation for a man once seen as invincible, but it marked the beginning of his reinvention. Professionally, Pitt shifted his focus to roles that reflected his maturity. In Allied 2016 and Ad Astra 2019, he portrayed characters burdened by loss and introspection, mirroring his own inner battles. These performances revealed a new depth, a willingness to embrace vulnerability on screen as never before. As a producer, his company Plan B Entertainment continued to thrive, championing socially conscious films that earned critical acclaim. Off-screen, Pitt devoted himself to humanitarian causes, from rebuilding homes in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina to supporting environmental sustainability projects. Slowly, the narrative around him began to change. He was no longer just the golden boy or the tabloid target. He was an artist who had survived Hollywood's cruelest spotlight and emerged stronger. His Oscar win in 2020 for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood felt symbolic, not just a recognition of his craft, but of his resilience. Brad Pitt's reinvention was not about reclaiming perfection. It was about embracing imperfection and transforming it into strength. For all his triumphs on screen, Brad Pitt's personal life often eclipsed his professional achievements. In 2000, he married America's sweetheart Jennifer Aniston, and the pair were hailed as Hollywood's golden couple. Their glamorous marriage seemed perfect, until 2005, when Pitt's chemistry with Angelina Jolie during the filming of Mr. and Mrs. Smith sparked rumors of infidelity. The scandal dominated headlines worldwide, and when Aniston and Pitt announced their divorce, fans were devastated. The birth of Brangelina became a global obsession. With Jolie, Pitt adopted and raised a large multicultural family, and for years, they were the most photographed couple on Earth. Yet, behind the glossy magazine covers, cracks were forming. Their relationship was tested by relentless media scrutiny, clashing lifestyles, and whispers of conflict. In 2016, everything imploded. Jolie filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Soon after, allegations of verbal and physical altercations on a private plane emerged, igniting a firestorm of controversy. The media frenzy was relentless, painting Pitt as a fallen idol. Tabloids dissected every detail, from custody battles to personal struggles. For the first time in his career, Pitt's reputation was on trial. At the same time, his struggles with alcohol came to light. Pitt later admitted he had been drinking heavily, using it as a way to escape emotional pain. The revelations shocked fans, who had long seen him as untouchable. The man once celebrated as Hollywood's ultimate leading man was suddenly portrayed as flawed, fragile, and even dangerous. The combination of scandal, addiction, and a high-profile divorce left Pitt vulnerable and exposed. His career slowed, his image tarnished. For many, it seemed like the curtain might finally fall on one of Hollywood's brightest stars. But Brad Pitt's story was never just about fame. It was about resilience. And the next chapter would prove that even in the darkest times, reinvention was possible. Brad Pitt's breakthrough in Thelma and Louise was only the beginning. Hollywood quickly recognized that he wasn't just a pretty face. He was a magnetic force with range and intensity. In A River Runs Through It, 1992, he captured the rebellious spirit of a young man chasing freedom. While in Legends of the Fall, 1994, his portrayal of Tristan Ludlow elevated him to romantic icon status. With his long hair and rugged looks, he became the very definition of a 1990s heartthrob. But Pitt refused to be confined by image alone. He sought roles that challenged him. In David Fincher's C7N, 1995, opposite Morgan Freeman, he played the ambitious detective David Mills, and the shocking finale left audiences shaken. Just 4 years later, he reunited with Fincher in Fight Club, 1999, delivering one of the most electrifying performances of his career as the anarchic Tyler Durden. The film bombed at the box office but later achieved cult status, cementing Pitt as an actor willing to take risks. By the early 2000s, he was a global superstar. In Troy, 2004, he embodied Achilles, commanding the screen with both physicality and gravitas. Then, in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005, his on-screen chemistry with Angelina Jolie not only ignited the box office but sparked one of the most infamous Hollywood romances of all time. Beyond acting, Pitt co-founded Plan B Entertainment, a production company that became a powerhouse in its own right. Under Plan B, he produced critically acclaimed films like The Departed, 2006, 12 Years a Slave, 2013, and Moonlight, 2016, all of which went on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. His personal triumph came in 2020, when he finally won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. After decades of superstardom, Pitt wasn't just a movie star. He was a respected artist and producer whose influence shaped the industry itself. From box office hits to Oscar-winning dramas, Brad Pitt had reached a peak few could dream of. But as the world admired his success, storm clouds were already forming on the horizon. After high school, Brad Pitt enrolled at the University of Missouri, majoring in journalism with a focus on advertising. On paper, he was preparing for a safe, conventional future. But just weeks before graduation, he made a decision that stunned his family and friends. He packed his car, left Missouri behind, and drove to Los Angeles with only a few $100s and a dream too big to ignore. Life in Hollywood was far from glamorous at first. Pitt paid his bills by driving limousines, moving refrigerators, and even dressing up as a giant chicken to advertise a fast food chain. He took acting lessons at night, grinding through rejection after rejection. Yet there was a persistence in him, a refusal to let the city's brutal indifference break his spirit. His earliest roles were forgettable. Bit parts in soap operas like Dallas and guest spots on shows like Growing Pains. But each appearance, no matter how small, was a step forward. Casting directors noticed the charisma that flickered beneath the surface, a magnetism that couldn't be ignored. Then came the role that changed everything. J.D., the hitchhiking drifter in Thelma and Louise, 1991. With just 14 minutes of screen time, Pitt's smoldering presence set Hollywood ablaze. Overnight, he went from a struggling unknown to the industry's most talked-about rising star. The boy from Missouri had officially arrived, and the world would never look at him the same way again. Bradley Pitt was born on December 18, 1963 in Shawnee, Oklahoma, before his family settled in Springfield, Missouri. He grew up in a conservative household, the eldest of 3 children. His father, William Pitt, managed a trucking company while his mother, Jane, worked as a school counselor. To neighbors, the Pitts looked like the perfect American family, stable, church-going, and deeply rooted in Midwestern values. But Brad was restless. Springfield was safe, but it felt too small for a boy whose imagination was already burning with bigger dreams. From an early age, he devoured movies at the local drive-in, mesmerized by the power of cinema to transport people to other worlds. He loved art, music, and sports, excelling in tennis and swimming, yet always chasing something beyond the ordinary. Schoolmates remember him as charming and energetic, though sometimes aloof, an observer who seemed destined for something more. While his family encouraged discipline and faith, Brad quietly nurtured his own hunger for freedom and self-expression. The contrast between small-town tradition and his craving for adventure became the silent tension of his youth. What no one in Springfield could have guessed was that the boy, who once carried the image of a perfect son, would leave it all behind, trading the comfort of home for the uncertainty of Hollywood. From the dusty streets of Missouri to the glittering red carpets of Hollywood, few journeys have been as breathtaking and as turbulent as that of Brad Pitt. To the world, he was the golden boy of the 90s, a man whose face alone could sell millions of tickets. But behind the perfect smile and piercing blue eyes lay a story far more complex. How does a journalism student from a small town transform into one of the most powerful and enduring icons in global cinema? His rise was meteoric, his fame intoxicating, and yet his life became a battlefield of scandal, heartbreak, and relentless reinvention. This is not just the story of a movie star. It is the story of survival, transformation, and the price of living under the world's brightest spotlight.